So Tucker Carlson recently interviewed the president of Russia, Vladimir Putin, and it's stirred up a lot of controversy. So we want to know, how did he get to this point? What was his journey? And how does it relate to his purpose in life? So his early life and education, we'll start with there at the very beginning. Tucker was born in 1969, May 1969. So he's pretty old, in California.
Yeah.
He grew up in honestly, like a silver spoon sort of family. His father was a Los Angeles news anchor and the president of a corporation for public broadcasting. So honestly, you can kind of see where he found his interest in doing what he does now. Carlson attended St. George's School in Rhode Island and later graduated with a bachelor's in history from Trinity College in Hartford, Connecticut in 1991. Yeah.
So a little backstory of his early career in journalism is that Carl's journalism career began right after he graduated college. So he joined a conservative magazine, Policy Review, as a fact checker, and then moved on to report for the Arkansas Democrat Gazette in Little Rock, Arkansas. And in the 1990s, he worked as a columnist and reporter for several prominent publications, including the Weekly Standard, Reader's Digest, the New Republic, the New York Times Magazine, and the Daily Beast. So he's worked for quite a few different journalism and magazines and news outlets.
Yeah, it's interesting because like he did a lot of early journalism, and then he transitioned into doing more like television type stuff. So he actually in the early 2000s he appeared on as one of the co-hosts on CNN, which is interesting because I've always thought of CNN as more liberal, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then like towards the end of his career, he ends up with Fox News. So he was with CNN for 5 years, where he hosted it's called The Situation with Tucker Carlson. So it was the primetime program that ran for a couple years, and then it was canceled due to low ratings, which I think he took a conservative perspective on it, and then he was on CNN. So honestly, it makes sense that it was canceled due to low ratings.
One of the things I think that is important to grab there is like the 2000s was like 23 years ago when he hopped on that, or was it 2005 when he hopped on? He left CNN in 2005. So like if you hop back 15 years, like your news media is probably still democratic, but not as democratic as it is today and liberal. And so like back then I could totally see him working for, something like that. And it's a little less, crazy as it is today. But
that does make sense. That's a good point. Yeah. In 2009, Carlson joined Fox News as a contributor. His roles at Fox evolved over time, leading to the launch of the Tucker Carlson Tonight in November 2016, which I grew up watching that a little bit with my dad. So I'm familiar with that show. The show quickly became one of the most watched programs on cable news, known for its conservative commentary, interviews, and Carlson's monologues on political and cultural issues. So throughout his tenure at Fox News, Carlson became known for his polarizing views on immigration, the Black Lives Matter movement, and the COVID-19 pandemic, among other topics. So yeah, his rhetoric and stances have made him a highly controversial figure, drawing both significant viewership and criticism. So obviously that makes a lot of sense. You speak out against things that are so culturally like stigmatized. Yeah. You're gonna get a lot of fans. I mean, I feel like that's literally just what Andrew Tate did. So, and honestly, and it's annoying how he did it, but it makes sense.
It's it's interesting to me, like as you watch, as you look at the history of Tucker Carlson, you look how he, like 2000, he left CNN, then he goes over to MSNBC, which some consider MSNBC to be less liberal and democratic than CNN. And then he goes from there to Fox News, which Fox News is considered like Republican news. And then finally he decides, you know what, I'm going to quit Fox News too and go do my own thing. And I kind of like the like I feel like sometimes this is with people in politics too, is like they slowly start to, it takes time for them to slowly, as they get more conservative and more conservative, or just realize, maybe not more conservative, but just realize like this isn't the group of people that I want to do things with. Like they kind of hold me back. And so, but yeah, I love that about Carlson, is he's just kind of not afraid to say what he wants to say, and not afraid to upset anybody about it either. And so,
Yeah,
but
I feel like to truly be a journalist though, or to be a good one, you kind of have to just do the reporting, right? And if you're a journalist that's like, I'm in the box of conservatism or liberalism, whatever, that kind of like taints your views a little bit. And then if you're a strong conservative journalist, then that means that at times you can give opinion rather than report news. And that's not so good, I'd say, right? Because like more news outlets these days have become, they're reporting opinion and possibilities rather than news, and that's where they go.
mm-hmm.
They go like it's not even a news outlet anymore. It's just a, I don't know, gossiping around the water fountain or something.
Well, what's interesting is it used to be that like news outlets had certain times. It was like it's on for an hour here, it's on for an hour here. There's your news for the day.
Mm-hmm.
You know, do what you want. Now it's like it's 24/7 news. There's always news. There's always new news, and it's a never-ending flow of information. A ton of information that you don't even need to know about. You know, it's like court cases of this or that. And it's just an overflow of ridiculousness of a Democrat party fighting with a Republican party, rather than just give the news, give it unbiasedly, give all the information that you know about it. And a lot of times, I'm trying to think of another news anchor. He's been on for so long. I'm trying to think of his name. I can't think of it. But used to watch him all the time. But monotone voice, read the script or read the news, boom, done. It's like that was kind of like the idea that they wanted.
Something like that.
Yeah, that was like the idea back then, was to give unbiased, unlenient, you know, not leaning one side or the other news. And so now obviously Tucker leans conservative. You can tell. But we don't really have that. We don't really have a middle ground, because a lot of people are doing their own journalism of what their opinion guides them to do. But anyways, no, Tucker ended up leaving Fox. All the circumstances weren't exactly widely known exactly why 100% he left. He did post in one of his videos, there was like, I think he mentioned like 6 things you're not allowed to talk about on Fox News. I think that was one of his first videos he posted on Twitter. And so if you wanted a list of reasons why he left, that would probably be a good place to start. So he wasn't allowed to talk about him, and he wanted to talk about him. And so following his departure from Fox News, he announced his intention to continue producing as an independent journalist, which he has completed doing that through Twitter. I watch him quite often on Twitter. And so he's aiming to reach his audience without the intermediary of a traditional cable network, which I think is kind of like the new direction now of a lot a lot of people or a lot of journalists, I should say, is going in that direction of, I'm just going to do Twitter or some platform that I can freely speak on.
Yep. That's the cool thing about social media, is it like democratizes and gives power back to people, right? Rather than the 9 media channels on TV, right? So
Yeah,
it's a good
monopolies.
thing, but it's also, it could be dangerous to a degree. But you still have control no matter, well, to a degree, no matter what. you
Yeah.
know. So yeah.
Well, the worst they do is just declare you not a journalist and you keep speaking what you want to speak, or they give you names, or they try
Yeah.
to cancel you and shut you down. I guess that's actually, or they ban you from a a whole social media network. So
Yeah.
that can happen too.
So outside his television career, Carlson has been involved in various other ventures. He co-founded the Daily Caller, which I haven't checked that out yet, but I guess it's a conservative news and opinion website. And then he's also married. So he's written a few books as well. One called Ship of Fools: How a Selfish Ruling Class is Bringing America to the Brink of Revolution. So, lesson in SEO, have a 25-word title and anybody will be able to find you on Google. So, yeah, and then, you want to move on to how this applies to purpose, his life purpose, right?
So his Tucker Carlson's career trajectory from print journalism to cable news, stardom, and towards independent media, it reflects a continuous effort to find and refine his voice in a complex media landscape. So each step has been instrumental in shaping his approach to journalism and commentary, ultimately leading him to a position where he wields a significant influence over public opinion and political discourse. Through this journey, Carlson appears to have found his life purpose: to challenge the status quo, provoke thought and debate, and advocate for a conservative vision of America that he passionately believes in. Whether one agrees with his viewpoints or not, his impact on American media and political conversations is undeniable, marking him as a figure who has indeed found and pursued his life purpose in the media. And so, it's like we're not very young, like we're pretty young, and we're doing that same thing. We're pursuing our purpose, and our purpose to hopefully help somebody to see something more clear, or to help someone realize that that's what your life is about, is small steps, and taking those small steps to eventually get to a point where you're self-sufficient, and you don't need anybody else to be sufficient. And that's kind of what Carlson has done is throughout his life. I'm sure there was many times where he was a small block on the totem pole, and he just had to climb his way up slowly but surely, and make improvements and grow. And that's what we're here, and that's what this whole podcast is about.
Absolutely. Love that, man. One thing that I think is interesting about him is that, like, whenever you're starting a business or starting something, you want to find your I think it's called like an uncommon advantage or something like that, where what can you do, like in an industry that's crowded, what could you do in that industry when starting something new to stand out and be different, and push the boundary, right? So like Tucker Carlson, he's made a name for himself and found his life purpose in media, but he also like had hit this little advantage that his dad was an anchor, right? So like his dad, I'm sure growing up was able to like he was able to watch his dad and learn and find little things that maybe improved his speaking or his people skills, right? So like that was his slight advantage, right? So anyways, whenever I'm starting something new or trying something out, it's like, so what is something that I could do really well, because I've got a unique edge to this, right? So anyways, just my final thought there, man. So
Yeah, it's good. I think one of the things, like if like somebody's watching this, you're like, okay, what's one thing that I can absolutely do just to stand out and be different, is one thing that we noticed from Tucker Carlson, or at least it appears throughout his life, is that he's honest with himself and he's honest with people that he comes across. And I think that's key important to growth, is being honest with yourself, what you want, and then being honest also with everybody that you come across. Because you can lie to yourself pretty easy, you can deceive yourself pretty easy, and get yourself way off track of what you actually want. And it'll also get you off track if you're not honest. And a really easy way to be different in this world is just to be honest, honest and humble. Really, there's not a lot of honest people out there. So there's your key token to take away from Tucker Carlson, is he's just been honest moving forward.
I love that. That's awesome, dude. All right, we'll see y'all next week.